Yo, what's up guys? Osco Dan here. And in this video, I am going to tell you about the 10 golden rules of gaining. These are 10 rules you must live by if you want to continue making gains your whole entire life. Seriously, if you're not taking advantage of these 10 golden rules right now, you're going to continue to stall on your gaining. You're not going to gain fast. You're not going to be getting the results that you want if you don't live by these rules. And if you choose to live by these rules, you will effortlessly gain. And after watching this video, you will never question why you're not gaining. This is like lifestyle, bodybuilding, steps to gaining, nutrition, all packed in one video, all simplified in 10 rules. If you've ever wanted a for sure way of gaining, these rules are it. This video is like hundreds of videos, hundreds of articles, and stuff like that, all packed into one video. Think of it like that. So, enough hype, let us begin. Rule number 1. Eat like a king. What do I mean by that? Eat good food and lots of it. Muscle isn't made out of thin air. It's made out of the fuel you provide it. And the fuel is food. If you think you could put on 20, 30 pounds of muscle and keep a six-pack, that is not going to happen. You got to embrace the fluff. The guys back then in the bodybuilding day, like Arnold and Frank Zane, they were fluffy at some times too. Just the thing is that they took pictures when they wanted to. That is one of the reasons why you never see them as fluffy. If you've ever heard that saying, you gotta eat big to get big, I know it sounds so cliche, but it's very true. Also, if you're a hard gainer and you say it's really hard for me to put on weight, I'm gonna call you an undereater because you're probably not eating enough. You gotta eat a lot of food to grow. You ever heard that saying of you gotta eat big to get big? That is so cliche, but it's really true. Like right now, my gains have stalled. The only reason why they stalled is because my diet isn't in a huge surplus. But I bet you anything, if I were to up my calories from 3,500 to 4,000, I would immediately start gaining again. So yeah, eat like a king and you'll start to gain. All right, let us move on to the next rule. Rule number 2, rest like a baby. You must get a minimum of 8 hours of sleep. Remember, when you're training, you're breaking down the muscle. And when you're resting, you're rebuilding the muscle. Let me repeat that. When you train, you break down the muscle. When you rest, you repair the muscle. That is basic science. That is not something I came up with. That is something that's rock hard, that is backed up completely by science. You can't change it. You can't say it's wrong. You can't say it doesn't work because it is rock hard science. More rest, better growth. And another thing, take naps as often as possible. I would recommend to set up a nap schedule actually. Like usually I finish training around 11 p.m. and then after the gym I take like a 20-minute nap. See, you never really want to take more than a 20-minute nap because that resets you like your ROM or that REM, and then you wake up from like feeling tired. Like you ever took a nap and you're like, "Oh, I was only going to sleep for 10 minutes." And you wake up and it's like an hour later and you feel like drunk. That's because you slept too long. You see, you got to give your mind, your body, and your spirit the recovery it needs. And when you give it what it needs, it will grow. It's not being lazy, it's being realistic. Sometimes this is more than just sleep. Sometimes you need to take a week off from the gym, or sometimes you need to just like take the day off to like spend with family, because remember, you need to recover mentally and you need to recover physically. So yeah, that was the second golden rule. Now let us move on to the next rule. Quality over quantity. Let me repeat that. Quality over quantity. If you want to prevent injury, you must perfect the form, because half-assing shit will get you nowhere. Make it your top priority to improve your form and perfect the movement. Master the technique. Educate yourself in the lifts that you will be performing before you perform them. Don't walk into the gym and decide to wing it on a new exercise, especially a new exercise. Learn it first, practice, and then perform it. So, yeah, be a man of quality, not quantity. Now, let us move on to the next rule. This is something that's really important, not only in bodybuilding, but in your life as well. But in terms of bodybuilding, you need to progress or die. You have to constantly be progressing. You can't just be doing the same 15 pounds for 2 years. That's not going to get you anywhere. You must constantly seek change, whether it could be on the scale or whether it's on the barbell. Remember, you are your own toughest competition, and every week is a new chance to come out ahead. It's not how much you bench, it's how much more you bench than last week. It's not how much you weigh, it's how much more you weighed than last week. If you are constantly getting stronger, or if you're constantly putting weight on the scale, then you're doing something right. You are progressing. This will indefinitely and for sure make you gain. And sometimes you gotta say, fuck the scale. I look bigger in the mirror. Sometimes that really matters. Sometimes you gotta say, fuck the scale. Like Vince Gironda. The scale doesn't tell you anything but a number. So yeah, that was progress or die. Now let us move on to the next golden rule. Consistency is key. Not only in bodybuilding, but in life as well. But in terms of bodybuilding, if you haven't been on a program for at least 4 or 5 weeks, you have no business changing to a new routine. It takes at least that long to judge if a program is working or not. And if you've been reading, you know exactly how to measure that progress. However, if you've been on a program that long and you're not adding weight, even then the program should be the last thing you change. You must not only be consistent with your training routine, you must be consistent with your diet and your rest. Consistent choices will give you consistent gains. Any type of consistency will get you results, whether they're little or they're a lot. It doesn't matter. If you're consistent with your diet and your training and your rest, you're gonna get good results. If you're consistent with like your diet and your rest, and not so much as your training, then you're still gonna get results. And if you're consistent with your training and your diet and not so much as your rest, you're still gonna yield results, all because of the law of consistency. So yeah, I cannot stress how important consistency is. With that being said, let us move on to the next rule. There's a reason the word supplement is supplement. Supplement doesn't mean replace. It means to supplement. That means no supplement can substitute for a shitty diet or shitty training. You know, there's really only 3 supplements that you need to be taking right now. Number 1, a multivitamin. That fixes all the holes in your diet because there's some vitamin minerals that you miss out on. So a multivitamin will help out with that. Another thing, fish oil. People don't take enough of this. Fish oil is super important. It has got a ton of benefits. And the last one is whey protein. This helps you get in some extra protein during the day. There's no need to overcomplicate all this shit, like taking BCAAs, ZMA, B12, all that shit. All you need is a multivitamin, whey protein, and fish oil. I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't quote me on saying, "Oh, I hate supplements," or I'm not saying supplements don't work, but you cannot replace a good diet or good training. Supplements can help out a lot. I was using creatine, BCAAs, whey protein, mass gainer. Let's see, tons of other supplements, and they worked out really good for me. They gave me the edge that no one else did, and that can give you the same edge too. But it's you don't need all that shit. You can make good gains off good food, good training, and proper rest, like they did back in the day. Back in the day, they didn't have ZMA or the pump matrix or shit like that, and they made enormous gains. Actually, more gains than the guys make today. So yeah, a shitty supplement cannot make up for bad training, bad diet, and bad rest. So with that being said, let us move on to the next rule. Overtraining. This is real. But let me say something that's going to confuse you. There is no amount of training that will put you into an overtrained state. There is only a deficit of recovery that will. Train hard and rest harder, and you'll never have to worry about getting overtrained. So that means if you want to go extra hard at the gym,
You can. But the thing is that you're going to need more recovery, more rest, and more food to compensate for that extra training. So yeah, that was the overtraining rule. Now let us move on to the next rule. Leave your ego at the door. I see this a lot at the gym. I see guys lifting like hundreds of pounds more than me, but they look like shit. Now there's a reason why. It's because they're ego lifting. They're lifting a shit ton of weight that they can barely handle. They can't even do perfect form. And that's the reason why they look like shit. If they would stimulate the muscle rather than just like destroying it with this heavy ass weight, like Lee Haney said, stimulate, not annihilate. Then they would have such more muscle to them. If you start lifting with your ego, you're most likely to get injured. Then after you get injured, you won't be able to lift at all. Be intelligent. If you know you can do that one rep of 200 pounds at the bench press, do it. But if you're just like, oh, I want to show off, there's a chick right here, or I'm going to show this guy up, I'm going to bench 200, then you're ego lifting. You're using your ego to lift with that. It's like you want to boost up your confidence just by lifting more weight. This is like the number one rule of the gym. Leave your ego at the door. Remember, be a man of quality, not quantity. So yeah, that is the one rule of the gym. The number one rule, leave your ego at the door. Now let us move on to the next rule. Finish what you started. Go all the way or go home. Set goals for yourself and don't quit until you meet them. Goals should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based. A goal can be adding 5 pounds of muscular body weight to the scale in a month or adding 50 pounds to your squat in 7 weeks. These are good goals to have and will keep you striving towards the finish line. If, however, you find you do need to stop prematurely, make sure it's for the right reasons. Remember, consistency. Consistency is key. Be consistent with everything in life and you will get far. Trust me. Say you want to be a bodybuilder or you want to be like a rapper and you kind of like suck right now. That doesn't matter. If you're consistent, you will be the master someday, regardless of what anybody tells you. You know, people used to tell me like you can't get big. You can't, like, it's just not in your genetics, man. You can't get big, man. And look at me. I'm pretty big now. I am soon to be the master I've always wanted to become. And say you want to be a rapper, and it doesn't matter if you suck right now. If you are honestly consistent with all your work, you, by default, you will be the master someday at your craft, whatever it may be. If you're consistent with like your cooking or your diet, you will become the master. You will yield, no matter what, you're going to yield results whether they're positive or negative. You're going to learn the bad, you're going to learn the good. So remember, finish what you started. Go big or stay home. My bad, I got a little passionate right there, but anyways, that's just me. Let's move on to the next rule. I'd never really thought how important it was to track stuff. Frank Zane was the most scientific bodybuilder of his era. He tracked everything, from his diet, photographs, to training. This is so important and it's so helpful because you look back and it's like, oh, I used to bench 200, now I bench 300. Or it's like, I used to weigh 150, now I weigh 170. Or I used to look like this, now I look like this in that picture. And stuff like that, you know? The most successful bodybuilders keep very close tabs on their progress by recording every minute detail of their development. This means recording your exercise routines, the weight you use for warm-ups and working sets, and any feedback the routine gave you, such as on your technique. You know, also your body weight and your diet menu or anything that might impact your training. Like, try to keep track of all that shit, your training, your diet, and your rest or whatever, shit like that. So you can kind of like, when you're struggling and you're like, oh shit, what was I doing back then that worked? And now that it's not working right now, like, fall back on those old methods that work. Like, let's see, a couple months ago, I was like doing this one routine. It was like a Larry Scott routine. It was working pretty good, and then I stalled. And I was like, fuck, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm not getting results anymore. And then I fell back on an old routine that I was doing that was giving me really good results. And boom, I started gaining again like crazy. It was really cool. Alright guys, if you found this video helpful and it was insightful and you took away a lot from this video, some key takeaways from this video, I want you to like and subscribe. I want to help out as many people as possible. I want to take away the frustration. I'm like giving you all my tips, all my tricks, like shit that I use to gain. Like this is like some basic ass shit. So yeah, thanks for watching. Share this video with someone who needs to see this if they're not gaining. Here's some 10 golden rules that are going to help you gain even faster and even better. It's going to save you lots of time. I know if someone would have shared this video with me a long time ago, I probably would have saved a shitload of time too. Now I'm giving you the gift of time. You can't buy time, but you can technically buy more time. Let me give you an example. Say like you want to become like a better bodybuilder. You hire a mentor. They're going to help you get to wherever you want twice as fast because they fucked up and you haven't yet, and now they're going to teach you every place that they fucked up in, and they're going to tell you how to fix that. So I'm basically giving you more time. So anyways, enough of the speeches. Thanks for watching. This is Old School Dan checking out. Peace.